Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, January 6, 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday season. I took advantage of a little bit of time off to regrow the winter beard. We are back at work here at Mass Retirees. We're jumping right into things during this first week of January. It's been a very busy month already. It's going to be an extremely busy month, as you'll see and read from today's update. But let me walk you through a few highlights of what's going on. First and foremost, the state legislature, the new session began this Wednesday. Both the House and Senate members took their oaths of office. Things are up and running on Beacon Hill as we speak. Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll took their oaths of office just yesterday afternoon. Frank Valeri, Tom Bonarigo, and I all attended the governor's inauguration yesterday, and we are very much looking forward to working with the Healy-Driscoll administration on a wide variety of issues of direct importance to public retirees. As all of you should know by now, we have had a long-standing friendship and relationship with Governor Healy. We believe that she is a true ally of public retirees. We also have a very good working relationship with Lieutenant Governor Driscoll. And while there is no such thing as a blank check or rubber stamp when it comes to public policy and prioritizing where very valuable public tax dollars are being spent, we are very much looking forward to making progress on a wide variety of important issues that we've been working on for some time now. Most importantly, or most directly, I should say, continuing the work that began about a year ago in terms of improvements to the cost of living adjustment. We made great strides forward in 2022 between the legislature appropriating a 5% COLA for state and teacher retirees, as well as allowing the ability of local retirement systems in conjunction with the local governing authorities to also increase the local COLA from the 3% that was approved last summer to the new 5% level. And we have been receiving word from retirement boards across the state, with the first, as far as we know, being the town of Plymouth, where I grew up, and with the board that I served on. I'm very proud that Tom Kelly and Dale Weber, the two elected members of the Plymouth Retirement Board, as well as the town officials, saw fit to very quickly move forward this fall with getting the COLA increase approved in Plymouth, both by the Retirement Board as well as the Board of Selectmen. And Plymouth retirees, I believe this month, should begin to see an increase in their pension checks relative to the 5% COLA that will be retroactive back to July 1st. And as I said, we are receiving word from retirement systems all across the state that they are in varying levels of this process of getting it approved. So we're making progress there. At the same time, we know that a growing number of systems have either approved a higher COLA base going forward or are in the process of doing so, with several systems, including the town of Wellesley, approving COLA bases in excess of the $18,000, which had been the unofficial ceiling, if you will, for the COLA base over the last several years. Now, Wellesley, the Retirement Board has approved the higher COLA base that would be phased in over a few years. That provision is going before town meeting in the near future. We want to say thank you to the Wellesley Retirement Board members for making this a priority. This town and the Wellesley retirement system have always been forward-looking when it comes to fully funding the pension appropriation in Wellesley and making sure that those funds are put to use on behalf of the public retirees. And decades of that continued commitment are now paying off in terms of having the ability to increase the COLA base to a far more workable and livable level for retirees because of that work. So again, well done, thank you, and we look forward to that process continuing across Massachusetts. Now at the state level, we are now in the process of refiling our legislative package for the 2023-2024 legislative session. The filing deadline is coming up on January 20th, and we will have a full report on all of the bills that we are proposing for this session. Those summaries, as well as the lead sponsors of these various bills, will be published in the March newsletter. I almost said July, getting a little bit ahead of myself. But it will be published in the March newsletter, which will be in your mailbox by the middle of February. So look to that edition. But one of the key things that we are focused on moving forward in terms of just building on the success that we had last year is finally increasing the COLA base for state and teacher retirees. Now, with the exception of the city of Boston, all teachers across Massachusetts, as well as all state retirees, are members of either the state or teacher retirement systems. Those systems and the benefits that are established under those systems are governed by the state legislature. So that's the difference. It's up to the legislature to increase the COLA base for state and teacher retirees, along with the approval of the governor, in this case, Governor Healy. So we are going to be working very closely with the legislative leadership, as well as the Healy-Driscoll administration, to find a path forward to increase the COLA base, hopefully to a level of $16,000. Now, it's been 12 years since the state and teacher base was increased to the current level of $13,000. So this is well overdue. But we will be talking about this further in the weeks and months ahead. But the COLA is a main priority of our association for 2023 and 2024. Again, to continue to build on the success that we've had over the last year or so, at a time when retirees are feeling the squeeze of inflation from all different avenues, really. And it is very necessary, now more than ever, that we find the ability to increase that COLA base. Now, at the same time, there's a lot of other work going on. Now, over the next 2.5 months, much of that work will be focused on health insurance, particularly retiree health insurance. The State Group Insurance Commission, as you know, has been engaged in a years-long procurement process. The details of procurement and the final decisions of procurement are now being made. In October, the health insurance plans were announced. Just last month, the GIC selected CVS Health for the pharmacy benefits management side of the benefits for both Medicare and non-Medicare retirees and active employees. Now, this month, the GIC on Thursday, January 19th, will make its plan design recommendations to the 17-member commission that governs the GIC. Now, the GIC, to their credit, has decided to publicly recommend plan design changes and elements, which will include copayments and deductibles, as well as the other details of exactly how the health insurance benefits will work. Again, those recommendations will be unveiled on the 19th. However, a final decision and a final vote by the 17-member commission will not occur until the February GIC meeting. The commission and the GIC staff want to be sure that they are receiving input and feedback from stakeholders like retirees before any final decisions are being made. And in a step in that direction is the meeting that is taking place, the Tele-Town Hall meeting that's taking place on Friday, January 20th, that is being sponsored by our association, but we are holding this meeting in conjunction with the GIC. And it will not only provide the opportunity for the GIC and Executive Director Matt Vino to speak directly to our members and explain in detail how these different changes, if any changes are being made, could impact our members, but it also gives you the opportunity to ask questions, to make comments, and let your voice be heard in this process. Now, that's one of the things that we have been very focused on in recent years, really over the whole course of our association's existence since 1968, has been ensuring that retirees have a seat at the table, that you have a voice in this process, and that your voice is heard. And it is very important that we continue to emphasize that with both state and local officials. Now, thankfully, Matt Vino and his staff at the GIC, as well as the current GIC Commission, agrees with that concept, and they have been very transparent and forthcoming over the last 3 years or so of making sure that they're communicating with retirees and that they are listening to you and taking your feedback. And we believe that some of the details that we're now seeing taking effect are the result of those conversations and that type of back and forth communication that's occurred. Now, one of the main features or focuses, I should say, of our association and working with the GIC over the coming year is going to be finding a way that we can allow those of you who are enrolled through the GIC, who are over the age of 65, but are not eligible for Medicare, to allow you the ability to enroll in Medicare with no additional penalties or unusual costs being occurred by the retiree. We believe that this is a true win-win for both retirees as well as the state government and local governments. And we're hopeful that we can find a way to implement this on a voluntary basis. That if you want to remain in the current plan that you're in, you could do that. And if you want to enroll in Medicare and have the GIC as your supplemental plan, we can do that too. Now, those details remain to be worked out. The GIC has to complete this procurement process and get through March and into the open enrollment period, really before they can move forward with other initiatives. But we have been assured by the executive director as well as staff that this is something that's on the radar screen moving forward that we're going to continue to work on together. And I'm sure that on January 20th, it will be a point of conversation during that meeting. So if you are insured through the GIC, I urge you to participate, listen in, be part of that conversation, which will take place at 1 p.m. on Friday, January 20th. Now, in terms of our other meetings, we will be kicking off a full schedule of Mass Retirees area membership meetings beginning a week from today on Friday, January 13th. Yes, Friday the 13th, we'll be kicking off our 2023 area meetings. We're going to be meeting at a new location in Tewksbury. It's the Tewksbury Elks. All of our in-person area meetings begin at 11 a.m. And so at 11 a.m., Friday the 13th, we'll be at the Tewksbury Elks. Our meetings, whether they be virtual or in person, are open to all Mass Retirees members at no additional charge to you. And we also invite you, if you are going to attend an area meeting, you're welcome to bring a guest. And if you know someone who is a public retiree or is close to retiring, who's not yet a Mass Retirees member, bring them along. Let's get them included. We want to maximize our membership as best we can. At the end of the day, it really comes down to strength in numbers. The stronger our membership is, the more influence this association has, and the more positive work we can do on your behalf. It's as simple as that. Now, in addition to our Massachusetts meetings, we are also going to hold one Florida meeting in 2023. We will be back for the first time since 2020, before the pandemic began, at least here in the United States. We will be back in Florida for the first time in 3 years. We'll be at the Pompano Beach Civic Center in Pompano Beach, Florida, 11 a.m. on Wednesday, February 1st. Now, we are looking to return to the Gulf Coast of Florida, hopefully next year. We want to provide some time for the communities along the Gulf Coast to fully recover, or at least recover as best they can from Hurricane Ian, which devastated the state back last fall. We know that a lot of our members who either are Florida residents or travel to the Gulf Coast each winter as a snowbird have decided not to make that trip or going someplace else this year because of the impact of Hurricane Ian. So we want to give some time, let the area rebuild, and we'll look to return to our Gulf Coast meetings next year. We've also been hearing from members who live in other parts of Florida, whether it be the central Florida around Orlando or up in the villages. We will be taking a close look at other area meetings where we have a large number of Mass Retirees members. If we're going to travel out of state and incur that cost and the time and just the effort, we want to make sure that we're making the most out of it and that we're going to have a good attendance at our meetings. So we're going to ease back into the out-of-state travel this year. Hopefully we'll have robust turnout at our area meetings, but we'll go from there. And finally, before I sign off for this week, I just want to quickly mention once again how disappointed and quite honestly angry we remain at the lack of the ability or willingness of Congress to come together at the end of 2022 and reach a bipartisan compromise that would have finally seen a reform of the windfall elimination provision passed into law. We are terribly disappointed, terribly upset and angry by that situation. Obviously, going forward, we need to investigate what new steps we might be able to take to actually be able to get something across the finish line. We're not quite sure how that's going to work out at this point. We're going to be meeting with our national allies, gathering information, coming up with a new plan. We will be getting back to you with those details in the coming weeks or month. Keep an eye on our weekly updates as well as our newsletter. But the one thing I can promise everybody who's impacted by either the WEP or the GPO is that we're not giving up on these issues. We're not going to simply throw in the towel and walk away. They're too important. They impact too many people. That number grows each and every day as new people retire. And these two laws are causing a unfair and unprecedented amount of financial damage to those retirees who are impacted by the WEP and the GPO. So we need to find a path forward. We need to find a viable way to make some changes to these laws, whether it be full repeal or a reform of both WEP and GPO. There has to be a way to get this done, and we're going to continue to work on that. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in. We are really excited by this year ahead. I think here in Massachusetts, we have an opportunity over the next several years, but beginning in 2023, to truly make a difference and get some of these issues over the finish line that we've been working on for quite a while now. And we're very thankful that we have a governor, lieutenant governor, state treasurer, secretary of state, state auditor, and attorney general are people that we know, that we have a history of working with, and that they themselves have a documented history of caring about and advancing the issues that are of most importance to public retirees. So again, thank you for tuning in, and we will be back to you in a week. If you live in the Tewksbury area, look forward to seeing you in person next Friday. Bye, everybody.